In today's episode, just give us the servers for free. The phones worked when I tested them connected to the ISP gateway. Why doesn't it work when I plug it in at people's desks? What's a firewall? The IT company that replaced me. Update: the phones worked when I tested them connected to the ISP gateway. Why doesn't it work when I plug it in at people's desks? What's a firewall? The IT company that replaced me. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Just give us the servers for free. Okay, so English isn't my first language, so apologies if some technical terms are wrong or unclear. Please feel free to correct me. I work as a software engineer, and most of the time the projects I work on with my team are either the technical support for existing SCADA systems or integration of new ones. Recently we got a new client who acquired new buildings and is now hiring us to automate everything. We would be setting up servers and build a new system, etc. for their employees to be able to view and control the lighting, heating, AC, etc. in whatever room they're in. The problem is that the existing system is running on 18-year-old software, external servers, and is incompatible with the security standards they decided on. So we gave them an outline on what we'd have to do, set up and change to meet all of their regulations and standards. This is a big client, one of the biggest companies in the automotive industry. So it's not like they're short on money for something as insignificant as building automation. Plus, they know their regulations are very high compared to smaller companies, so you'd assume they know to expect higher costs. Except their associate who's overseeing the whole project and who chose our company for the job expects us to use the old, existing infrastructure and just build on top of it. I called him today to discuss the specifics, and it went something like this: me equals me, A equals him. Me: hi, I'm calling to discuss the integration of the new system. A: right. Yes. See, I took a look at your proposal and I see you intend to install new touch panels in every room? Me: yes, that's right. You stated that all rooms should be controllable by the employees sitting in them. The best possibility for that is having control panels in each room that allows them to change the heating, lighting and check the AC and window contacts all in one. We feel like that's the easiest solution, so that even employees who don't own company work phones have access to it. A: yes, I approve of that idea. However, you said you would need to set up an entirely new system for it. Why is that? I know the buildings have perfectly a fine, working system in place already. Me: yes, but what you requested is not possible to build on the current Windows 2003 servers you have. A: okay, but why not? Windows is Windows, isn't it? Me: the project includes roughly 300,000 data points for the administration buildings alone. The production facilities have even more space required to automate. Also, not every room is currently connected to the system as you added new walls inside the building. Plus, as externally managed servers, they do not meet your required security standard and would need to be changed either way. A: okay, so you're implementing a new SCADA system for us to use, yes? Me: that's correct. A: but since you refuse to use the existing servery, I expect the upgrade to the new ones to be of no additional costs to us. Me: what do you mean? A: since there is already infrastructure for building automation in place, I expect you to add the new servers free of cost. Changing them was your idea after all. Me: I'm sorry? That's not. Did I explain it wrong, or what exactly is unclear about the procedure? A: nothing is wrong, what you propose makes sense to me. But the costs for the switch can't be that significant, so I expect them to be added for free as a bonus. This project is already very expensive, so it shouldn't be a loss for you to add them on top. Me: A: so did we come to an understanding? Me: no, we do not. I'm sorry, but that is something I need to talk about with my boss. The costs you imagine are a lot higher than you think, and this is not a decision I am authorized to do. A: what? I googled servers and they are not that expensive. This is ridiculous. Me: I will get back to you after discussing it with my boss. Let's schedule a meeting with the supervising team for this project and discuss the general outline and costs again. I will send you our offer again with the cost allocation, so that you can rediscuss it with your team until the meeting. The meeting is next week, and I have honestly no idea what he thought the costs of servers and their continued maintenance are, because that's like one of the most expensive things about the whole project. The phones worked when I tested them connected to the ISP gateway. Why doesn't it work when I plug it in at people's desks? What's a firewall? The IT company that replaced me. So, I do freelance IT for small businesses. One of my customers decided to replace me. The company they replaced me with is really just the IT director of the local community college. He is a people manager and know next to nothing about actual IT. But he's a friend of one of the employees and he's cheap. So I tell my customer good luck and contact me if they ever need me. It wasn't even a week and the first thing this guy tried to do he botched. I get a call from him in a panic. He was tasked with replacing their ancient AVAYA phone system with a modern VoIP system. This is what he did. He tested all the phones connected at his office and they worked. The next day he takes them out to the customer's office. He plugs a phone directly into the ISP gateway and the phone connects. So he calls the VoIP company and tells them all is good, the phones are connecting correctly, and they can start porting the phone numbers over from the POTS lines to the VoIP service. While the porting is happening, he starts disconnecting the old phones at people's desks and connecting the new VoIP phones. And when he is done, he realizes none of the phones are connecting. The VoIP company tells him to run a connection test tool on his laptop plugged in through one of the phones, and sure enough, the connection is being blocked. But by this point, the numbers are already ported to the VoIP service and the customer is without phones, and he has no clue why they aren't working. That's when I get the call. He explains what he did, and I asked him why he didn't test the phones from behind the firewall. And I ******* not, his exact words were, "What's a firewall?" Seriously, he had no clue what a firewall was. He always just assumed you plugged everything into the ISP gateway and used that. I was floored. This is a guy that is doing business IT and he doesn't know what a firewall is. Oh, and the kicker, his next project is to set up a site-to-site VPN connection between their current office and a new office they just rented. He told them he totally knows how to do that. The guy that doesn't know what a firewall is claims he knows how to set up site-to-site VPNs. So I logged in remotely and set up the firewall properly to work with the VoIP phones. I'm sure the owner of the business will question why I had to be brought in to fix the phones when he receives my detailed bill. Update: the phones worked when I tested them connected to the ISP gateway. Why doesn't it work when I plug it in at people's desks? What's a firewall? The IT company that replaced me. The gist of the old post is I work freelance IT for small businesses in my area. One of them decided to replace me with another company. It turns out the other company is just the IT director for the community college. He's a people manager and knows next to nothing about IT. I told them to call me if they ever need anything. The new guy immediately started messing stuff up. Now the update. It's been a wild several months. It's been about 8 months since they let this guy start working on their network, and it is really obvious that he doesn't know what he is doing. They have finally fired him and brought me back in to clean up his mess. So, first I'd like to list what the customers wanted done. 1. Set up new VoIP phones to replace an ancient AVAYA phone system. 2. Set up second location and a VPN between them. This requires installing new firewalls. 3. Set up an access VPN so users can WFH directly on their laptops instead of using remote desktop. The goal here is to get rid of the desktops in the office that just sit there with no one ever sitting at the desk. Their workers do 90% of their work outside of the office. So, we covered the screw up with the phones in my other post. Next came setting up the second office. I did a minor update on my old post about that, and how I had to go in to set up the copier for printing just so they could start using that office. We were still waiting on them to set up the new firewalls to link the two offices. Well, the new guy decided that would wait and instead decided they needed to install a new server first. He sold them on a HP ProLiant ML350 Gen 10. I know I might catch flack, but I absolutely hate HP enterprise servers. I've had nothing but reliability issues with them. He sold it to them as a barebones, and made them buy hard drives to put in it, no solid-state storage, and had them buy WinServer 2019. Plugged it in, installed Windows, joined it to the domain, and then nothing. It just sat there for months. Apparently the guy couldn't figure out how to promote it to a domain controller. First thing I noticed is he was trying to run promo from the run dialog. I don't know if that even still works, but I know it's not the right way to do it. The issue though came down to the forest level not being high enough for server 2019. It apparently took him months to figure this out, but he did finally get the new server promoted to a domain controller. Then did nothing else with it. When I went in to take over, there was no software installed on the new server, and all the drivers hadn't even been loaded. Device Manager was a sea of yellow, with no driver loaded errors. Oh, and one of the 3 SAS drives they put in the server has already died with the click of death. Remember how I said HP servers are unreliable? So, now for the firewalls and VPN setup. The customer has 1 gigabit per second internet at both locations. So what does the guy do? He sells them firewalls that are only rated for 800 megabits per second throughput. And these aren't cheap firewalls either, he sells them for $600 each. I could have gotten them Netgate 4100s for that. On top of that, the Access VPN for these firewalls actually don't allow split tunneling, so when connected to the VPN, the user's laptop loses internet access. This actually isn't what they wanted. He admitted he didn't listen to what they wanted when he started all this work, and thought they just wanted a VPN into the office, so they could then use remote desktop over the VPN to connect to their computers. So now I have to replace the firewalls. They did manage to set up a site-to-site VPN between the 2 offices. But they said one office's IP scope is 192.168.1.0, and the other is 10.1.10.1. I know it isn't really a big issue, but it bugs me. I just got back in to start fixing things last week. I found a few other, what I consider, stupid stuff they did. Here is a list. The new server's IP address was DHCP assigned as 192.168.1.112, so they just stuck with it. Who uses a random IP for a domain controller IP? I know it will work, but again it bugs me. Apparently, at some point, the wireless access point at the main office died. To replace it they installed 2 Ubiquiti NanoStation Loco M2. These are outdoor access points, designed to be pole-mounted, and they are 2.4 GHz only. When they finally got around to installing the firewall at the second office, they didn't think about wireless. They scheduled it for a Friday night after the office closed, so an employee had to stay late with them. When the guy showed up, he realized he messed up and didn't have a wireless AP. Before he installed the firewall, they were just connecting to the ISP's gateway's wireless. So he had to run out to Best Buy and buy a consumer wireless router to act as a AP to give them wireless after the firewall was in. He set up the wireless on the new AP with the same wireless network name as the ISP's gateway, and never disabled the Wi-Fi on the ISP's gateway. You'd think he would have set the new AP to have the same Wi-Fi as the main office, so moving between the 2 is seamless, but nope. Also, he didn't disable DHCP on the consumer router he was using as an AP. They've been chasing odd networking issues at the second office and could never figure it out. Well, that will happen when you have 3 DHCP servers trying to hand out IPs in 2 different networks with the same SSID. I found out they also sold the customer a 4G LTE backup internet connection for the main office. Installed the hardware and activated the service, then promptly did nothing with it. They never plugged it into anything on the network, just left it sitting there. They installed new smart switches in both offices. They are 16-port switches. They never logged into them, I know because when I logged in it prompted to change the default password and would not let you continue without doing it. Also, the main office needs more than 16 ports, so they left the old 24-port switch connected in the rack and ran the extra connections through that. Of course, the 24-port switch was already enough. But they got to sell the customer a new switch. I'm sure there's more I'll find as I dig into things more.